coming up in the next week or so. We got a lot of GI Joe to open up. We still have a couple of He-Man figures to open up. We've got more DC Multiverse. I got so much DC Multiverse I'm sitting on right now that I need to get open. I've got more stuff that's supposed to be coming on Sunday because I'm going to have a couple of DC Multiverse items that are supposed to be showing up from Big Bad Toy Store. I'll let you guys think about what that might be. I'm not going to tell you right now. But today I have something really exciting to open. This is Neca Flash Gordon. Yeah, it's I've opened a lot of Flash Gordon figures from Neca on this program, and we're going to open another one today. Now I've been looking for this one for years because this is a Walmart exclusive. I believe it came out in 2021. Yep, copyright 2021, and this was a Walmart exclusive. So I've been checking my Walmart for like all of the Walmarts around me since 2021. Been a really long time I've been looking for this set, and then finally I saw one on eBay for $22. So what I figure probably happened, what happens a lot of the times with these store exclusives, is that the distribution on it was terrible, and for whatever reason, maybe it just got lost in the warehouse or something, and then Walmart just wound up dumping them somewhere, some kind of discount store or something, or they all got shipped to like a ton of them to one Walmart, none of them to any of the ones around here, but like maybe in like, I don't know, Nebraska or someplace, just they get like hundreds of them in at the Walmart and be like, can't sell all these. There's not enough market for all of these. They probably should have sent them to different states, not just all of them to Nebraska. I don't know if they got sent to Nebraska or not. I'm just state I picked at random. So yeah, I've been looking for this a long time and found it for like, something like 25% of the retail price. So probably worked out pretty well for me. The box you can see has a really nice design to it. Obviously, this is inspired by the Flash Gordon movie, and specifically, we can tell by that yellow background that this design had a lot of influence from the soundtrack album by Queen. And as I've mentioned before in my unboxing of Prince Vultan, this logo was designed by none other than Freddie Mercury himself, who is, among other things, a very talented graphic designer, not just a talented rock and roll singer either. So here's what this side looks like. You see there's some residue from sticker. Pretty much the same there. Some interesting stuff at the bottom as far as like credits. It says director Randy Falk, sculpt Jordi Jokovic. Again, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Fabrication Anthony Minicino. Paint John Wardell, Jeffrey Trapp. Tailoring Nicole Falk. Prototypes TrueCast Studios. Photography Stephen Mazurek. And packaging Chris Longo. So a lot of names that we're familiar with from the NECA team. And here's the back. And we got our first look at what the figures look like. And this is an unusual figure set because even though it is based on the movie, this is the first set of figures that NECA has done based on the movie. They didn't, I guess, have the rights to the likenesses yet. And also, they were trying to get as much mileage out of this new superhero buck that they had as possible. These were designed for Superman and Batman figures that were packaged with Alien and Predator figures. So that was like some kind of like exclusive, and they had a very limited license to use those characters, but they were able to justify it by being like, well, we've got these cool new superhero bucks with them. Let's do some more superhero characters. They picked up the rights to King features, I'm guessing mainly because they were available, but that did give them access to a lot of really cool characters, including all the Flash Gordon characters, the Phantom, Mandrake and Lothar, etc., etc. So these reused the same bucks that those figures reused and parts from various figures. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when I open it up. So let's go ahead and do that. First, let's go ahead and open the front here. And you can see like the whole front opens up like this. And there are the figures inside, and we've got more pictures of them along the sides. And it looks like the inside should make a pretty good backdrop for photographs and whatnot. So I'm not sure when I do the thumbnail. I guess I'll think about it. I'll see what looks best. And I don't know if what I'm gonna use for the background of these figures on the thumbnail, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Let's go ahead and open it up because I'm really excited. So I've been looking for these figures for a long time, and I do have some of the other NECA figures here, so we can compare them and see some of the parts that were used or reused or whatever. So here it is out of the package, so we can get a better look at those figures. There's Flash and there's Ming, and Flash has a little bit of a white spot here. I was hoping it would scrape off, but it seems like it's stuck on there pretty good. So I want to try to just gently, very gently, scrape on it with the X-Acto knife and see if that gets me any good. No, I think that's just going to be stuck on there forever. It does seem to be kind of coming off a little bit. But also, I don't want to take a chance on scraping off any of the red paint on the torso. So I'm being really careful with it. And yeah, it looks like I did scrape off a little bit of the red paint. So that is unfortunate. So probably what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to find me some red paint that matches up with this and try to cover it up as best as I can. So that's too bad, but you know, for the price that I paid for this, I'm not going to complain too much. Let's go ahead and get these rubber tabs cut here. And he has the dreaded double rubber tabs around his waist. I think I need to put a sharper blade onto this because it's starting to have a little bit of a hard time cutting through the tabs. And then, as NECA often does, they've got the accessories over here separate in the bubble with another bubble on top of it holding it in. It's taped on. So let's go ahead and cut through that tape and we'll get some of these accessories out. So fans of the movie will definitely recognize a couple of these accessories that come with this figure. First of all, we have this egg that Flash uses as a football during the football fight. And then we have this rather large scimitar-like sword with the emblem of Mongo kind of on a disc at the side there. Not sure what purpose that really serves on a sword, but you know, whatever. So Ming has double tabs around his midsection also, but it appears that one of those tabs has actually come loose in the package, and that's good. No, wait, he's got double tabs around the waist. Ugh, come on. Did I get it? I think I got it. Yeah, I got it. So this must be like an extra double tab that got in there somehow. But it's not wrapped around the figure, so I'm not going to complain about it too much. Then he's got double rubber tabs around his ankles. All right, so we got those off. Now there are more accessories in here that are hands. So I'm going to pull those out, and then we'll go over those. And it's 3 hands for Ming, and 1 extra hand for Flash. And that's a little bit of a disappointment. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But let's go ahead and get him out. There we go. Put this tape back down, and then put the, well, I guess I should have put the bubble back down first. Sorry, this is a lot of stuff where I'm just kind of like messing around with the package. So I promise I'll get to the figures in just a minute. Just hang in there. There we go. All right. So let's do Flash first. Oh, come on. Get him out of there. All right. So we got Flash out of the package. You can see that white spot I'm talking about. Ooh, that's irritating. And I really hoped I'd be able to get it off, but it does seem like it's stuck on there pretty good, whatever it is. So a little drop of paint or something like that. So I'm just gonna have to see if I can find like a red paint that will match that pretty well. And it looks like there's two tones of red paint there. He's got like a little bit of a wash over him. Like I said, this is their standard superhero buck. This wasn't sculpted to resemble Sam J. Jones. So any resemblance between this guy and Sam J. Jones is purely coincidental. Most of that comes from the fact that he was just kind of like the square jawed superhero type anyway. But of course, it's Alex Raymond's version of Flash Gordon, so he's got a little bit more character to his face, shall we say. And he's got that wavy hair that Flash Gordon had in the comic strip. We can see that he's got two solid fists on his hand for his hands. I'm going to go and swap out one of those for the open hand. He came with one open hand for the left hand. And really, I feel like he should have come with two hands. We'll get to that. So, yeah, he's got all the details are painted onto him. You know, this is basically like a muscular bare chest that you would just paint all the details onto anyway. It's the same bare chest that they used on the Phantom. And comparing him to some of the other Flash Gordon figures, you can see that they did not use the torso from the Superheroes Flash Gordon. They did not use the belt from the Flash Superheroes Flash Gordon. It's got the same legs, the same arms, but the belt is reused from this Flash Gordon, which is the Defenders of the Earth one. So you can see the lightning bolt on the belt buckle, same belt. And I guess it's the same torso as this one, only they've got this collar and epaulets glued onto it, and not the same shoulders because those are sculpted on. And other than the extra arm, Flash comes with the two accessories, which one is the football egg type thing, and he can't really hold it because his hand is in that tight gripping position, but you can kind of have him sort of cradle it in his arm like that, which is pretty much how you hold a football anyway. If he had like a flatter hand, you could probably get it more like in the right sort of shape. But this is good enough for display, I think, as far as that goes. Now the unfortunate thing is, like I said, he only has one gripping hand. I guess you could probably do that with the fist type hand too, couldn't you? So then you could have him hold both of these accessories at the same time if you have him hold the football in the fist type hand. So it does seem to be molded in two pieces, but they've got it glued together. It doesn't open up or anything like that. So then we come to the sword, a rather large sword for one to wield in one hand, but he's not going to have any choice because he's got a solid fist for the other hand. Now, if we look at the packaging, it does actually show him, holding the sword at least in what looks like a two-handed grip, but we know it can't be a two-handed grip because he just has a solid fist for the other hand. But the articulation is good enough. I'm sure I can get him into a two-handed pose, or at least what would look like a two-handed pose, theoretically. Here we go. There we go. Now, if I could get him to actually grip the sword, it would probably stay in that pose, but as it is, it's just kind of, maybe I just got to bend that part of the elbow a little bit more since it is a double jointed elbow. We'll talk more about the articulation in a minute. And I'm only going to go over the articulation on Flash because the articulation on Ming should be pretty much the same. But yeah, that's pretty close to that famous publicity shot from the movie, isn't it? So, but yeah, since he's got that really muscular torso with, oh look, he's showing off for us now. Since he's got that really muscular torso with all that sort of detail, the emblem on his chest winds up being kind of regressed into it a little bit, but it still looks pretty good, still looks pretty sharp. It's still recognizably the uniform that he's wearing in the movie, but it's like I said, it's not really sculpted to be Sam J. Jones. I just noticed his boot is swapped around in such a way where it's actually kind of backwards there. They probably didn't pay too much attention to that when they were putting it in the package. So his shins are facing the wrong way, basically. We'll get that straightened out there. All right, there we go. So, so yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the articulation on this guy. Set the sword aside for a minute. So Flash Gordon can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. He can tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side. Arms, of course, rotate all the way around at the shoulders, and they go up about that far. They rotate at the bicep, so that's good. And then we have double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows, so pretty good range of motion. He's got an ab crunch, and it's kind of stiff, but there we go. He bends down about that far and bends back about that far. So pretty decent range of motion for the ab crunch. The waist does rotate all the way around, and it's on a little bit of a ball joint, so you can get a little bit of movement out of it. A little bit of wobbly movement, not a whole lot, but a little bit. Flash Gordon can kick up about that far. He does have this rubber trunk piece that somewhat hinders his articulation, but not too badly, I don't think. I'm wondering if these boots are like even on the right side. They might have put the boots on the wrong side, or at least one of them. No, I think it's on the right side. Okay. Flash has double jointed knees. They bend back about that far. He does rotate somewhat. He doesn't have a thigh cut, but where the thigh joint is, it rotates somewhat at the hip. So not all the way around, but somewhat. It rotates enough. You can get some good poses out of it. And then we have the boot cut. The boot rotates all the way around. He does have kind of a matte finish on his pants and kind of a glossier finish on his boots. So even though both the boots and the pants are black, it does still, it doesn't really blend together as much as it, would otherwise. It does still look like, boots and pants are like two separate things. And then he's got these cool rocker ankles, so his ankle can point down about that far, point up about that far. It rotates all the way around at the ankle too, so you can get all kinds of range of motion out of that. And then he's got toe articulation just to show off. So anyway, Flash is pretty decent. They did a pretty good job with this. If I didn't have any Flash Gordon figures at all, and as we've seen, I do have plenty of Flash Gordon figures, but he's one of my favorite characters, so I don't really mind having multiple versions of him. In addition to these two, I also have the Mattel inspired paint job where he had the silver boots. So you can find unboxings of all of these on my YouTube channel if you're interested. For now, let's set those aside. And Flash Gordon himself, I'm going to go ahead and put the sword back in his hand. There we go. And real quick, I'm gonna look on my computer. And I probably should have thought to do this before, but I didn't, because I want to check something real quick. I'm going to look up Ming the Merciless Flash Gordon character. Yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. All right, so it's Aunt June. I'm sorry, Aunt June. I didn't see you. Hi, Aunt June. Nice to see you. I've been intent on the action figure, so I probably wasn't paying enough attention to what was going on in the chat. So, but it's nice to see you. So yeah, I just wanted to check and make sure of something, and it looks like that is indeed correct. Cool. So I'm going to take Ming out of the package now, and of course, I've got the all the tabs cut already, but I'm a little challenged in trying to get them out because I really don't want to mess up this cape. And the arms are in here in kind of a deep way, so I'm just making sure it doesn't get hung up as I pull it out. Being very careful with that. But there's like holes that his hands are actually going through. And much like with Flash, the Ming figure comes out of the package with two solid fists, and we're gonna replace at least one of those fists immediately. Now, the extra hands that he comes with he comes with two extra left hands, both of which have the ring, and the ring is really important. So it's definitely a good thing they had the ring on there. I did notice that the fist hand does not have a ring on there, which is all the more reason that I want to get it off of there immediately. Ming needs his Ming ring. He got to have his Ming ring. So, he has like certain magical powers that he unleashes through that ring. And he doesn't have any other accessories. He's just got the hands. So, but of course, since he uses his powers through his ring, he doesn't really need any other accessories. It would be nice, I will admit, if Ming had come with. It is a cool action figure, isn't it? If Ming had come with a sword, so that he and Flash could duel each other. But of course, they didn't really duel each other in the movie, so it makes sense that they wouldn't think to include him with one. But it would be nice if they did. And like I said, this is based on a previously released Ming figure, so it's not actually based on the movie version. But they did put some extra detail into this figure that was clearly inspired by the movie. If you look at the inside of his collar, he's based on the Defenders of the Earth Ming, which is my favorite Ming that I had previously. Let's see if this guy gives him a run for his money. But yeah, I pointed out before that like that's a lot of extra detail in that collar that wasn't really there on the cartoon, obviously, because it was a cartoon. So, but it was pretty accurate to what the inside of his collar looked like in the movie. So if you look at it the way it is in the movie, it's got lots of like little metallic bits and detailing like that. So I think they might have actually made the Defenders of the Earth Ming in preparation because they knew they were going to do this one, and tried to make him look at least a little bit more like the movie where they could. And like with Flash Gordon, this head is not a likeness of Max von Sydow. But they did such a great job making Max von Sydow look like the character of Ming from the comic strip that I think it can still kind of pass for him. Still, if you have the actual movie version of Ming that they made later on, he does have alternate heads, so you could put a Max von Sydow head on here. And since he is using that kind of superhero buck, he's a lot more muscular than Ming was depicted in the movie. They did give him the robe, which in this kind of takes a form of like this skirt that you can see underneath here. And it looks like it's a solid skirt that goes all the way around, so there's no opening in there. But since it's fabric, it won't really hinder the articulation all that much. And yeah, I had his cape still kind of pulled up. And then the cape is like a separate piece. And then that has some pieces that drape over the front of him and make the robe. So the robe doesn't actually have sleeves on it like it does in the movie, but it still looks really cool. And like I said, since this isn't really sculpted to necessarily be the movie version of Ming, it's just kind of like redecoed to look as much like that one as possible. It's not exactly the movie costume, but I think it looks close enough. It gets the point across. And I always really liked this particular costume for Ming. This is probably my favorite look for the character. It's also very similar to the look that Charles Middleton had when he played Ming in the first two serials. Now, the third serial, he had more of like a military type uniform because they were drawing a direct parallel. This was like 1939, I think, at this point. They were trying to draw a direct parallel between Ming and the bad mustache man from World War II. And so they put him in more of a military type uniform. And he had lots of different costumes in the movie. So I guess they decided to do the military uniform for the actual Max von Sydow Ming figure since they already had this one. And like I said, you can swap out the heads and put a Max von Sydow head on there if you want to. And you see underneath, he's got those same sort of epaulets that the Defenders of the Earth version has. Only with him, they're painted in black and a little more subtle. Here, they're painted in gold. Even though you can't really see them that well when the cape's in its proper position, it is nice that they did put a little bit of paint detail on there. But you can see that there's all kinds of there's different shades of red on here. There's glossier shades of red and darker shades of red and, kind of a matte red for most of his costume. While the Defenders of the Earth version is mostly purple with a few red accents and then, lots of paint applications on this guy. This guy's paint scheme is a little more monochromatic, but that doesn't mean that there's not like a lot of detail to it. So the cape and the skirt seem to be made out of a fabric. It's almost the best way I can think of to describe it. It's almost kind of like a spandex, but it seems like it's a spandex that only stretches one way and not very far. And then, of course, it's got this really cool. I don't even know if it's coming across that well on the camera, but it just looks kind of glossy to me on the camera. But in person, this is like a metallic foil kind of printing to it that makes it look almost like it's sequined or like it's chainmail or something like that. And the skirt and the cape, they're both made out of this material. Get him in some really cool poses with the ring. Oh man, he looks great. So I know I said I wouldn't talk about the articulation on this guy because I already did it on Flash, but just so you can see that his head looks up and looks down. He's got a good range of motion at his neck, so I did want to show that off, since the collar might kind of hinder that a little bit, and also since he is wearing this skirt, that's about as far up as his leg can kick. But he's basically got the same articulation as Flash, and we've already been over that, so we don't really need to go over that again. So let's imagine the scene in the movie at the climax where Flash is basically on a suicide run to charge through the lightning field and get Ming before he almost has frog legs in his goatee like in the movie. Yeah, like I said, they did a really good job of making Max von Sydow look a lot like what Ming looked like in the comic strip. So I think that worked out really well as far as like, I think this figure works out better in terms of trying to make him look like the movie figure than the Flash Gordon figure did. And of course, by this point, NECA has put out actual movie figures of Flash and Ming. So if you want something that's truly movie accurate, those figures do exist. And of course, I don't have those yet, unfortunately. Hopefully, I can get them at some point. But I do have Vultan, which Vultan was the one that I wanted the most in the first place, because I figured, well, I might not have the movie versions of Flash Gordon and Ming yet, but I do have the comic strip versions and the cartoon versions and the Defenders of the Earth versions, and so at least those characters are represented, and now they're represented again in these kind of pseudo movie version. Not quite, but yeah, you can see Flash confronting Ming after he's like run him through with the rather phallic antenna on the front of the rocket ship. Call off the attack on Earth and I'll spare your life. You fool. My life is not for any earthling to give or take. Your power's fading, Ming. And then he just fades away into the ring, and the ring clatters to the ground. That's really important. We had to have the ring on this figure. That's why I don't like this closed fist hand for Ming, because it doesn't have the ring. You have the ring. He got to have his Ming ring. I'm telling you. So, but and here's the right hand, the right gripping hand. So if you have like an extra sword or laser or something, you can hold on to that. And of course the other ring, the other left hand that has the ring on it, that's in kind of a looser sort of grip. But yeah, and then the head itself is a repaint of one of the heads that came with the original superheroes version of Ming, which again I've opened this on this channel so you can see before, but it's got a more naturalistic Caucasian skin tone rather than the kind of sickly grayish skin tone that he had on that head. Oh, that head looked disgusting. I mean that in the best possible way. I love that head, but man, they made him look gross on that. And here he looks like just kind of a normal guy with a goatee. So so yeah, that's pretty much it, I think, for those figures. They're both really cool. And like I said, I got a good deal on these on eBay. So if you go and you check eBay, I got one on eBay for $22, and the guy selling these had a few. So you might still be able to get one if you check real quick. And if not, there's some other ones on there that are fairly affordable. Like I said, this would have been a fairly expensive set if I'd have found it at Walmart and bought it then. And I got it for much cheaper, much cheaper, and that made me happy. So even though I was frustrated in searching for these figures for years, I'm glad that I finally was able to find them, and not only find them at an affordable price. Sometimes there's getting it now prices, and sometimes there's prices where it's just like, you've looked for this for long enough. God is being kind to me and saying, you know what, I've seen you looking for this thing. I know you've had a hard time lately with a lot of things, so I'm just gonna throw this at you for like $20. And that was the story of that. I'm gonna hold on to this box because it's a pretty cool box. Oh, I almost forgot. Let's go ahead and have a look at the insert in here if I can get it out. And it's kind of a vague, simple version of Ming's throne room, almost like the background of the wedding scene in the movie. It looks cool, but I think I'm going to use the Freddie Mercury logo for the backdrop when I take my thumbnail, which I am just about to do as soon as I finish up this video. So that's pretty much it, though, for the Flash Gordon versus Ming, the Merciless 2-pack. Something I've been looking for a very long time. Finally happy to have it. And I just love these NECA Flash Gordon figures. I can't get enough of them. I really do need to get the proper movie versions of Flash and Ming, though. I was really hoping to pick those up around the time that I got Volton, but I could only afford to buy one at the time. Bye, Aunt June. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, I can only afford to pick up one at the time, and if I could only get one, I was going to get Volton. But I'll see if I can maybe. Oh yeah, likewise, peace right back at you, Mike Overton. Thanks for stopping by. But yeah, I'll probably. It seems like those are fairly affordable too. Still at this point, haven't gotten too expensive, so I'll pick those up sometime in the future. So look forward to videos talking about those. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about these figures and Flash Gordon in general. It really is one of my favorite entertainment franchises of all time. I love the comics, and I love the original comic strip. There's comic books about Flash Gordon. They're really good. I kind of felt like the Dan Jurgens did a series for DC in the 90s that War Rocket Ajax, yes indeed. So that was the one that he was piloting, that he stabbed Ming with it at the end. I remember seeing that on HBO when I was a kid, and I actually saw the last scene in the movie before I saw anything else, and it was just so cool to me with like the Queen music playing and the Flash, and he's flying through the lightning field and everything's blasting at him, and and stabs Ming right through the chest with the rocket. That's some crazy stuff. Lorenzo Simple Jr. was the guy who wrote that script. He was the guy who wrote the pilot and lots of episodes for the 1966 Batman television series. So it's that kind of craziness that made its way into that script. I love that movie so much. But yeah, the Filmation cartoon was awesome. The original movie serials, Buster Crab. Oh man, those are some of the best movie serials ever made. I still find them really entertaining. Like, it's a little quaint, I think, maybe for modern audiences in a lot of ways, but I think they're a lot of fun. I like watching them. The Filmation cartoon, I think, is still really good and still really holds up. And Defenders of the Earth was another one that I really liked because I liked that was where I was first introduced actually to the Phantom and Mandrake and Lothar and discovered those characters. But I would have watched it just for Flash Gordon anyway. But where's the oatmeal face version of Clytus? I don't think NECA's made Clytus yet, but they really need to. They should make Clytus. They should make Baron. And they really should make Princess Aura and Dale Arden. And they seem like they're kind of gun shy on making any character in Flash Gordon that isn't Flash or Ming. But like, they finally made Volton, and I was really happy with that. And if I could only pick 3 Flash Gordon figures for them to make, and I know they're going to make Flash, and I know they're going to make Ming. Well, Volton would have definitely been my number 3 pick, but yeah, Zarkov. They need to make Zarkov. They could make General Kala. They could make any number of figures. Make Princess Aura's pet. Make Deep Roy. He could be like one of the accessories that comes with Princess Aura. That would be really cool. They could be like a 2-pack. But Deep Roy being such a legend in sci-fi, like who else can say they were in Flash Gordon and Star Wars movies and Star Trek, because he was in the J.J. Abrams Star Trek. So yeah, Deep Roy, legendary guy. He's not just the Oompa Loompa from uh, from the Willy Wonka remake. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.